I just wrapped up my first playthrough of Evil Genius 2, loved it, and promptly downloaded the DLC content. Ironically, I had finished a run-through of Resident Evil 7 about the same time. So when I saw the artwork for the new Genius Polar, I said to myself, hey, I know her. Here's how. Within the ever-expanding Resident Evil universe, a woman named Zoe Baker was involved in a 3-year-long incident taking place in Dulvey, Louisiana. She and her family were abducted by a little girl named Evelyn who was genetically engineered to control people's minds. Which, I gotta say, after seeing movies like The Ring and Firestarter, does not help my subconscious fear of young women using their supernatural proclivities to take over the world. Anyway, Zoe and her family were, shall we say, gifted with abilities by Evelyn to regenerate tissue and manipulate certain elements of nature. However, they were also subject to Evelyn's every whim, and you could imagine the pent-up aggression contained within the mind of a child raised in a laboratory by a group of people who frankly don't have the best track record when it comes to taking care of living things. Though Zoe was able to keep the more sinister compulsions forced upon her by Evelyn at bay, her family was not, and they isolated Zoe from the home. One gratuitously violent narrative arc later, and can I say excessively moist? Why is everything so moist in this Resident Evil game? The Baker family is systematically dispatched by the protagonist, and Zoe is left on a dock to fend for herself. Evelyn, enraged that she didn't get her way, throws a temper tantrum and calcifies Zoe in a crystalline substance. We are meant to believe this is where her story ends. But hold the fan boat. Like any good mega corporation, Umbrella arrives to sweep the incident into the swampy depths and discovers the still-breathing Zoe. A 3-way custody battle breaks out between her backwoods uncle, Swamp Thing father, and an excessively handsome representative for the Umbrella Corporation. And to make a short story even shorter, she ends up in the open arms of the folks that cooked up this toxic jambalaya to begin with. Here's where the puzzle pieces start to fall into place, and two seemingly different people start to emerge as one. After years of quarantine, massive amounts of therapy, and a new identity, Zoe ends up moving to the chilly landscape of Eastern Europe. Coincidence? I think not. We know very little about Polar's early life, which is a thin backstory at best. What we do know is that as an adult, the research she embarked on was meant to undo the damage that had been done by humanity, and was enthusiastically backed by a very wealthy consortium. Now, who's to say Zoe didn't have a mental and physiological relapse into the madness that was her life many years before, leverage her resources and connections with an already evil corporation, and set up shop on a large floating iceberg to work through the control issues she most definitely has, while simultaneously ridding the entire world of moisture? Who's to say? Well, the developers of the games are probably the ones to say, but they haven't yet. And even if they did, you'll have a hard time convincing me that these two worlds don't coexist, and that this frosty megalomaniac is not in fact the same gifted young anti-hero from the swamps. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be sure to subscribe for more game theory, playthroughs, and tips and tricks. And remember, with each new subscription, a can of cram will be donated to a local fallout shelter. We'll see you in the next one.